Hey, how's it going? On this video, you're going to learn how to build an amazing real estate investing team that you actually trust. And it all comes down to building a culture inside of your work environment. So what we found with a lot of real estate investing companies, since the nature of the business is very transactional and it's just doing deals and negotiating and money driven, honestly, some companies might lack soul and they might have high turnover rates in their employees because there's not enough significance and meaning at work. And really this all comes down to just a couple decisions that you as the founder need to make in order to establish a sense of culture and meaning at work. And this is the first video of a set of videos I'm going to create about team building. Team Building Tuesdays, I'm calling it. So I'm going to jump right in and we're going to talk about the REI Culture Code and really how to build an amazing team that you trust. And it really comes down to establishing a common language. If we think about what culture really means, a culture is just the way that you do things, the way that you communicate with your team members, the way that you communicate with the sellers, with your buyers. You have a culture whether you know it or not. So really it just comes down to establishing a common language and setting that in stone so you have a culture code or a basis to work off of as you grow and scale your company and bring on more employees. So it's really just about the shared beliefs, values, the norms, and the decision-making frameworks that you use day to day. And it's important not just to keep this in your brain, but to actually put it out there so that your whole team can be on the same page. And what I found is that most of this is going to come down to the founder values. So for most founders that start a real estate investing company, you're doing it based on a pain that you might have in your life that you don't necessarily want other people to feel. So for me, for instance, a pain that I have is lack of freedom. I really want to cultivate a life that is free for me to choose how to live it exactly how I want on my terms. And when I see other people that don't have that capacity, it really drives me in my company to create tools that can help people become more free. So this is that's been the essence of all of our decision making and how we communicate with each other, and it's all really stems from the founder. So what in your life, what pains do you suffer that you don't want anyone else to suffer from, whether it's your team members or all of the stakeholders that you work with? I think that's a good question to ask yourself. And then once you have that, you can come up with a set of principles. So here's the exercise. Create 5 principles that sum up your way of thinking, the things that you stand for, the things that you believe in. I know this doesn't necessarily relate to real estate investing, but I'm telling you, by thinking a little bit about the deeper meaning behind what it is you do, this pays dividends over and over and over again, and it makes working at your job way more fun. So create 5 principles and think about these as some phrases that pack a punch that govern how you and your team do business. And I can share a little bit of what ours are. So in InvestorFuse, we have what I'm working on called the Freedom Frameworks. And these are phrases that sort of just govern the way that we operate. One is always provide extra, APE. We say always APE. Always provide extra and don't ever leave anybody hanging. Nobody wants to be left hanging, so we've developed systems and processes to make sure that there's no, ticket or customer left behind that needs help. We always make sure that we get back to them, even if it's just, hey, letting them know that we're working on fixing their problem. Another important framework is no festering allowed. Say what's on your mind. So think about a relationship where there's something kind of festering and you just haven't broached the subject. Well, the longer you wait, the more that becomes an issue. So we try to nip it in the bud as soon as there's any sort of festering allowed. We practice radical candor and we address it and we put it out there and make sure that it's communicated so that it doesn't fester and become an impediment on our productivity and our interpersonal relationships. This can be said for our team members and then also working with customers as well. We like to keep it real, say it how it is, and this is sort of reflected in our culture. what principles or frameworks can you come up with, just a sentence that can align your whole team around your way of thinking? Writing out a manifesto is a good exercise to uncover some of these principles. So that's an extra credit exercise you can work on. Yeah, so let me show you real quick an example of a manifesto. So if you go to careers.mindvalley.com, I have notes for all of this content, by the way. If you look in the info section of this video, you'll see a link to an Evernote that I give all these references and links. Check out the manifesto that they've created. Mindvalley is a health and wellness info product company. It's voted consistently one of the top places to work in the world. And the reason that they've done that is because they have created a culture around what they do. And read this Mindvalley manifesto just to get an idea about some of the principles that they stand by. Some of these are kind of out there, but it's powerful and it helps everybody get on the same page. So think about what manifesto could you write that turns you into more than just a real estate investing company. Now I know that sounds kind of woo-woo and cliche, but if you don't do that, your job will get stagnant, it'll get boring. Eventually making a bunch of money, it loses its luster unless you have some sort of meaning, some sort of deeper meaning behind what you do. And it's important that you hire people based off of that. And another important aspect of that, just when it comes to hiring people, is you want to look for team members that are driven by more than money. So everybody at InvestorFuse, although we're here to earn an income and to accelerate that income over time, we're all in this for deeper reasons. I mean, the biggest reasons being growth, having a medium to grow as a person, a channel to develop the skills that improve you consistently. Another one of our core values is Kaizen, which is to continuously improve yourself. Happiness, meaning, abundance. All of these are things that you can get with a job outside of just the finance aspect. And we find that the best employees, the A players, are in it for that growth, happiness, meaning, or abundance. By the way, I should note, I got to meet Vishen Lakiani, who's the CEO of Mindvalley, and he taught me in a private lecture at this entrepreneur event I went to earlier this year a lot of these topics. He taught me, and he has a new book coming out. His book, The Code of the Extraordinary Minds, I highly recommend reading. Inside of that book, they teach a goal-setting exercise that we have done on our team that kind of helps bring these intangible elements outside of just monetary compensation into the picture. And it gives all of us a greater sense of purpose and meaning day to day. And it's called the 3 Most Important Questions exercise. It's essentially, what are the experiences you want to have in your life? What are the growth experiences you want to have in your life? And how do you want to contribute to the world? And if you read The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, or if you just search 3 Most Important Questions on Google, again, I'll put this and a couple more resources about this in the notes, you'll learn some of the questions involved with how to answer these. And it's important to write these out. And what we've done is we've shared this with our team so we all kind of know what all of our goals are outside of just what we do day to day in InvestorFuse. And I think it's super important to bring that into the picture because we're humans after all. We're more than just deal machines. And too many real estate investing companies neglect to build meaning into their organization. And that's really what culture is all about. So I encourage you guys to check that book out. I encourage you guys to write a manifesto and to come up with your core values. And I have a couple more things that I can share with you. There's a book called The E-Myth, Beyond E-Myth. It's like the second E-Myth principle. It talks not just about systems and processes, but it talks about vision. It talks about how to create a mission and a purpose statement. Now, these are all buzzwords that you've probably heard of before, but this is how they define it in that book. You can really just pick one of these. These are all sort of abstractions of the same concept, just building a vision into your company that you can portray to your team members and to your stakeholders. I'll give an example. I'll show you what we did for our company is we created this values document. You can see here we wrote out our mission. our mission and our vision and our values. These are kind of the three things that stuck out the most to us, has the most meaning for us, as well as a quote from Steve Jobs, which is, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. And you can just read the vision here. Platform gives small business owners the freedom to work on the things that give them joy so they can create ripple effects for others to do the same. We're dialing that in, but essentially you get the idea. We like to create tools for entrepreneurs to create freedom because we know that entrepreneurs, if they can focus on the right things, they'll have more of an impact. And that's really what drives us. And right now, our mission, obviously, with InvestorFuse 2.0 is to launch the easiest to use lead management tool for real estate investors. And then these words in the center sum up some of our values and our principles. So could you create a document like this that really sums up your vision, your mission, and your values that you can then share with your team? I'm going to include this in the notes as well, so you can kind of use this as a template to make your own values document. So lessons from Mind Valley, we went over that. I would highly encourage you to read the book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, and go through that 3 most important questions framework. It's super powerful. Every time we do a team retreat, we go over that. And it's cool because once we know what drives each other, we can use that day to day to keep each other motivated. And then we can also, we do stuff like unexpected gift giving related to the 3 most important questions. If one of their experiences that they want to have is a romantic getaway in the mountain, we'll provide that, to our team members as a gift for performing well. And these little extra miles really have compounding effects on your overall team morale, team productivity. And once you build it early enough, it'll actually attract more of those types of people into your business. It's important to work with people that you like, and building a culture is the best way to do that. So I want to challenge the traditional real estate investor mindset that you just need to create a deal-making machine that has no soul. I encourage you to really build a strong culture and a strong, fun environment for your team. It's going to make you a lot more money, and you're going to have a lot more fun building your team. So to close this, how can you give your team members a sense of significance? Because if you can do that, everything else will fall into place. And then what makes your way of doing things different than other real estate investing companies? Think about that. Is there a certain way that you do things in your market that's better or different than anything else? And can that be at the core of your culture that you just focus on, and you can plant that seed and grow it into this huge tree that really creates brand awareness in your market? It's important to think about these things, especially as the owner of your company. Spend time developing culture and reap the rewards later. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, or if you have other tips about how you have developed a sense of culture to build an amazing team that you trust, go ahead and leave comments below this video, and make sure to check out the notes that I took on all this stuff. The link on that will be in the info section. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye.